Hey everybody, it's Milan here with another audio commentary. Sorry this one for this episode took a little longer than expected, but I am not alone this time because with me I have the guy who helped to animate this episode, Sooty Will. Say hi, Sooty.
Hello, I'm Sooty Will, and I guess this is my voice reveal for online, and I helped animate the aftermath of the accident and the climax of this episode, and I'm very happy to be part of the Crotoonia team now.
And it's a pleasure to have you on. So,
thank you.
Today we're going to be talking about Thomas the Building Engine, the as of the time we're recording this latest episode. I mean, we got another one animated right now, and this one was interesting for a few reasons. One was because it introduced a dynamic that I've been waiting to reveal for a long time: the Crotoonia Construction Company. It was the first episode featuring Thomas, which, usually when you get these sorts of series, it's like, oh, Thomas is usually number one for, the first episode, but I decided, nah, we're gonna give Tilly the spotlight, and we'll do Thomas as, a regular 10-minute. And, also, it was also, again, the first episode that wasn't entirely animated by me. Basically, I animated Act 1, and then the first little bit of Act 2, and then the very last shot for Act 2. But Act 2 was mostly Sooty, so it was pretty interesting. And also, another interesting thing, as we're going into the episode, this went through a lot more changes compared to the first two episodes and the next episode. And the first major change that happened to the original script was, this wasn't the opening shot we planned. The opening shot that was supposed to be here and was going to be edited was actually in the Let's Go music video. It's the very first shot you see in there. But I changed it up because I figured, this doesn't work too well, so let's try something a little bit different and kind of a bit more accurate to the root. So, this was one of the newest scenes, and this was, I think, one of the only two, a lot of Act 1 had a lot of scenes that were, reused and done early on, and this was one of them, which you can kind of tell because the audio editing is a bit more spotty here, and there's a bit more awkward things. I think for this one, I just added the new Thomas model, and that was it. You can kind of see in the intro we sort of used the old one there, but then with the new Thomas model that was there, we kind of changed up. And this was another scene that was kind of done early on, but given a lot of changes, so... But yeah, that's... I'll talk more about the changes as we get into this, because it's more into Act 2 that we see a lot of differences between the episodes, so... So since you're here, Sooty, how was it like animating the Bob team for Act 2?
Well, it was very different from just doing the Thomas engines, I think, because, Scoop and Muck and Lofty, they have a lot more bones to move around in, buckets and, I guess, more moving joints, which is accurate to their own show. And Bob and Wendy was also, it was good practice for me to do some more human animation.
And I think Scoop especially was a lot of fun anime. I love how that shot that just came by turned out, because I don't know. I think part of the good thing with the new Thomas episodes, a lot of people are like, oh wow, I really don't like the new Thomas. I'm having a lot of fun with this, and animation wise, I can see that the team is probably having a lot more fun with it, because you get to be a lot more expressive with it, and it's not just train standing in one place and not doing very much. So I don't know, I find it a lot more interesting. And actually, since we got the Bob model here, I can kind of explain why this episode took a lot longer than expected. So, Casey Jr.'s mail run, that took, I think, 2 months, maybe a month to animate. But this one, we were going to do this one next. The plan was we'd start episodes again in November, and then kind of do one each month. And as I eventually realized, that was not the case. But one of the biggest reasons why Building Engine took so long was we were originally gonna get, we had commissioned someone to do a Bob model for it, but then ultimately we kept getting very sporadic messages. It wasn't really coming in, and eventually we just decided, screw it, we're gonna use Tony Pilot's model for this. So, oh, and just over there, that was Michelle as Isabella, and now that she's into the scene, I can kind of tell you about how the episode changed a little bit as we're going into one of the scenes that was also done very early on and but mostly edited up with a few changes. So most of Act 1 is pretty much the same as what was in the original script. But what was going to happen after the whole montage was, instead of Thomas being oh, I want to do this thing, it was going to be Thomas then heading back to collect more stuff, and he was going to meet Percy a Great Wolf, and there was actually going to be my friend Mainland Studios, he was going to do animation on this episode, but then he had a lot of computer problems that held him back, and that's another reason why it got a little bit delayed. And he actually animated part of the scene, which was going to involve a gag with Toodle, which would have actually had Andy and Clarabelle in it, that I think Liz actually recorded dialogue for. But then when me and Michelle were going through a bunch of episodes and kind of editing through them, she recommended something a little more, like something that would work better with the Thomas episode, like Thomas or Bob episodes, because it was going to be that scene, then Lofty is driving around, and originally it was going to be him dropping the furnishings, because he wasn't going to carry the roofing section, but then Michelle suggested the idea of having Thomas, like, you know, cause the accident, and then it's kind of a little bit more like the average Thomas or Bob episode, so that was one of the big, like, pretty much the biggest change in the script that we had. Those montages was a lot of fun to animate, too. Just kind of animating the different machines and characters and showing off all of them doing their own paces and stuff. And especially, I actually kind of want to use this a little bit more, because especially with, like, the rail yard that I sort of set up right there, it's kind of like, it'd definitely be interesting showing progress with, like, what goes into the town, like, since it's kind of expanded into this area. And,
I remember that you teased on Twitter a bit about how you wanted to have more episodes starring the pack and the Solar Construction Company, and so you could definitely, like, show the progress of this town being built.
Oh yeah, we've got, like, a bunch of pack episodes, like, I shouldn't say pack, because it's, like, you know, we've got the pack, and then the Can-Do crew, and then there's going to be the Chuggineers later on. I already have, like, a few episodes already scripted. There's going to be one exploring, like, a town we're going to be mentioning in the next episode, and actually sort of sets up things a little bit for it. There's going to be one about Toad that they're involved in, and there's going to be one of the specials actually kind of involves them, so, like, actually two specials are going to involve them, but I can't spoil anything else. That's going to be way down the line, but right here we got the Berry Truck, another newcomer to the episode. I should really talk more about the voice acting in this episode too. We had a few newcomers into this one. We had Wiley Queenan, I'm sorry if I mispronounced your name, as Scoop, and he was a lot of fun to work with. And then Berry Truck auditioned as Max, and then he did everybody in this episode just knocked it out of the park, and I feel so glad.
I agree.
Like, and actually, here comes the part that you animated, so you can talk for a bit.
Alrighty, so I think this shot here of the aftermath of the accident, I think it was the longest and was kind of the hardest to do for me, because, like, I do not like doing walking or running animation for all the humans. So, and we were on a very tight schedule, especially like at the very end of June, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was kind of getting nervous. I was like, oh no, can I finish this and the climax in time? But luckily when this whole discussion scene was done, I was pretty relieved, and the climax was also fun to do. And I think it came along a bit quicker, but I think it all fit together very well.
Yeah, I can't thank you enough for helping me with this episode, because I don't think we would have had this on time if it wasn't for you. And it's kind of interesting too with, like, the scheduling for the episode. Originally, this was going to be, and there are, you can kind of still see the advertisements I did for it. This was going to be part of a month-long thing called On the Road, and was basically going to be 4 shorter videos, which is going to be 2 Real Side Tales, the one we finished recently, Loco and the Poconos, and then Summer Holiday. Summer Holiday managed to make it on time, but, like, the other videos were taking so long and there's a lot of stuff going on. I was just like, you know what, forget it, we're going to do the episode as another event. And so Big Build Marathon came as a result of it. So, yeah, it was kind of, this episode was kind of hard to get out for release. But here comes one of my absolute favorite bits in the whole episode, and this was something that kind of did change in the script too. The model for, like, the scaffolding crane was going to be a lot more complex, but then I was kind of like, I wasn't sure I was going to rig it or design it, so we went with something a lot more simple. So I felt like there was this crane model by Cyalon that we used, and then I built a tower and then the platform and reused Lofty's magnet. And overall, this was a very fun scene to see you put together. Because, like, I love a lot of the direction and, like, little touches you add, like the gears and, like, moving as he pulls up, and, like, this, and, like, the different angles too. It's like, you did amazing on this episode, man. I'm really proud of you, and I'm so happy to have you on the team, man. It's like,
oh, thanks. And I mean, I'm proud of the animation that I was able to do. But during our crew screening, after you added all the steam and the music and all the sound effects, it made it, like, 10 times better for me, because I'm like, oh yes, it's so, like, epic and intense now too.
Well, I had a perfect foundation, no pun intended, to work with. And, did we get comments about the bouncing here?
I'm not sure.
Because I'm not sure what it was, but like I think 1 or 2 comments on one of the last videos we got like, wow, you're bouncing, it's like Big World Big Adventures, and I'm like, okay, sorry.
It's just once.
Yeah, sorry, us animators trying to be a little expressive. And this was another big thing we added to the script too. I mean, Michelle kind of brought in, because again, we kind of, I don't like. I think the ending was just kind of like, oh, we did the thing. And like Thomas goes home and he tells Brewster about it a little bit, and then like, but then Michelle brought in a much, like, in my opinion at least, a much better ending, like a much better written and much better executed, and I don't know, just an overall she really helped make this episode, like both of you, Michelle and my good old pal right here, Sooty, you guys really helped to make this episode pop, and it's just like, I feel happy because like there's a lot of really cool construction themed episodes we're getting to soon, and it's gonna be cool. And this was a shot I was really excited to get to, because, like, I always wanted to use the Follow That Bird, like, ending theme. And it's just, like, just seeing this all put together, it was, like... I think I animated this, like, before the last couple of shots, so... But yeah, this was... Just, like, again, with the lighting and all the experimental stuff, is kind of like...
Yeah, I think this is probably my favorite closing shot out of all the episodes so far.
Thanks. And hey, it's a bookend. The tower crane at the start and the tower crane at the end. And, yeah, I get a lot of comments about this, so while this is wrapping up, I'm going to give kind of an explanation for that. So, unfortunately, during production of the episode, my grandma passed away. So, and it was...
Yeah, man, I'm sorry about that.
It was one of the biggest reasons I haven't been putting out a lot of videos lately, along with other stuff. There's been a lot of personal stuff going on, so...
Although it was nice of you to dedicate the episode that was in the making to her.
Because, I don't know, it's like... She was very positive, very sweet, and always wonderful to visit, so it was...
Whether you're at the grill or the alley,
it's good that we still kind of remember her a little bit, and I'm
course.
glad that... And he was very proud of a lot of the stuff I was doing, so it was... I figured only be fair, so... But yeah, that was Thomas the Building Engine. Thank you guys again for joining us for this commentary, and we hope you enjoyed. And don't worry, episode 4 is coming out. I'm just animating this one on my own, so it's probably going to be first week of September or something. Thanks, Sooty, for joining us, and we'll see you guys next time, okay?
Alright, bye everyone. Thank you.
Farewell. Goodbye.
Bye.